so the Namibian government in 1990 decided to call this area Zambezi. Do you remember that? Yes. They wanted to lift up the Zambezi River, which was the same problem that the Germans had. The Germans believed we need to have access to the Zambezi River. This is a very important river in Africa's history. It produces the two sides of Victoria Falls. You may not be aware of that. In fact, the Zimbabweans and Zambians will be paying tax to the Caprivi Council because the water comes from here. So the new government decides Zambezi because it's more uniting of the people here, those who wanted the name Caprivi and those who didn't want it. It was the residents of the region who said, no, we are Caprivians. We want to retain our German identity. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's a choice they made. Among the people of Caprivi, we have different tribal configurations. You have the Mafwe, you have the Masubia. The Lozis are a very unique entity. The Lozis derive from the old Barotse land. They are in Zambia, some of them in Botswana. And that was the problem for apartheid South Africa. Caprivi was never administered as part of Southwest Africa. The people here would play sports with Botswana, would do relationships with people in Zambia, to the extent that around 1970, from 1969, with the Odendaal Plan, in 1968, to the time when Caprivi became a self-governing country. Remember that? With Chief Muraliswani, the chief minister. Even the radio station that was announcing the Caprivi situation was based in Johannesburg, was part of SABC. Yeah? John Mtonga, yeah, was in Johannesburg. Who was working with John Mtonga? Matthew. Yeah, they were in Johannesburg as part of South Africa. Now, coming independence, the Namibian government didn't know quite how to handle this. No African government knows how to handle tribalism. What they do is have a knee-jerk reaction. So whenever people ask, why are you treating us this way? It's secessionists. They clamp down on it. You may not know that around 1998-99, when the secession efforts happened here, the funding came from Pretoria. You know that. I have a friend by the name of Kenneth Sililo Mugu. Sililo was born in Katima Mulilo on the side of Zambia. And he belonged to the secessionist group. They had an office in Pretoria. They called themselves the Barotse Revolutionary Council. I don't think there were Subias in that council. I don't think there were Mafwes in that council. I don't think there were Mugushis in that council. It was the Lozi faction. I want you to understand how complex the history is of this area. It must be managed very, very carefully. It is only in 1964 that Kanu, under my uncle Meshach Muyongo, joined SWAPO. It was a very, very delicate arrangement. Yeah? The SWAPO at the time needed Caprivi in order to launch a war from here. It was closer to Zambia. Yeah? And the Kanu people wanted to grow, but there were certain things they did not discuss in that arrangement. For instance, if Meshach Muyongo started to talk about treating Caprivi with the delicacy that it required, he should have started in 1989. Who did it well? The person who did it well was Chief Dirhat, from the Rehoboth. Chief Dirkhardt said, no, we want to be treated differently from other people because we are bastards. The mistake Muyongo made is not to say it early enough until he was hurting himself. So he was an opportunist. If he started to say, my people, our history is different. We were not treated like this before. We were not quite part of the Southwest Africa. We need to include in our package of independence some agreement, some understanding that because Caprivi was neglected, was abused more than other people, they must be treated in a particular way. For instance, if I was in the national government, I would have said, we need to treat Caprivi differently. I cannot understand why nobody has said Namibia has one very wonderful region that can feed the rest of the country, and that's Caprivi. In that way, I would have said, let's create a University of Agriculture based in Katima. In that way, you are creating development opportunities, and it's part of nation building. In that way, you would have, in this part of Namibia, people who are Damara, Nama, Herero, Ovambo, Colored, whatever you have, working in that university. They would marry Caprivians, and then before you wake up, there is one group. You cannot leave that to chance. You need to do something about it. You need to treat it with respect of the history and the pain that people have had to go through here. There was an organization they called, what was it called? Kamwi? It was a Zuba in Kavango. What was it called? Do you remember that Kufut thing? Kufut. Yes. There was a white South African who was sent here. His name was Pash. What is Sun in Rosie? That was not the name. But it was something else. I'll find it in my notes of 1982. What they did was to make sure that the Caprivians were divided along tribal lines and even along language lines. South Africa was responsible. They did that very successfully in Caprivi and Kavango. You did not have a family in Caprivi that did not have one spy working for Kufut. And in that way, the community was destroyed. The confidence in the family was destroyed.